Hello everyone, today I have made a very simple red velvet cake and I decided to share with you guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you.
Please God, give them strength. Please God.
First we're going to prep the dry ingredients, and in here I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour and 1 cup of cake mix, and I've added 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda and half a teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. I'm going to sift all of that into a bowl, and you can see I made a mistake here because some of the contents are spilling from the top of the sieve. So I'm going to sieve it, and when I'm done, use a spoon to get all the particles through, and I'm going to sift it again just to make sure all the dry ingredients are very well mixed. So that's what it looks like, and then we'll put that to the side. And here I'm going to make buttermilk, which is just milk and vinegar. I'm using evaporated milk because when it comes to baking, evaporated milk has more flavor. And because evaporated milk is milk with basically 60% of the water evaporated, so it has more flavor, and you set that aside. Now we're going to go in with our wet ingredients, which is 1 cup of butter and 1.5 cups of white sugar, and I'm going to blend that in until it's halfway smooth. And I'm going to add in melted butter, half a cup of melted butter. The butter in baking cakes just helps the cake retain moisture. So I'm going to blend that in. I think a total of 4 to 5 minutes, depending on how strong your mixer is. You might use less time, but mine took about 4 to 5 minutes in total. So you mix that in, and then I added in 2 eggs. I don't have the clip for the second one. And of course, always make sure you get all the contents to the middle of the bowl. I just scooped mine in using a spoon. Continue blending until everything is kind of a whipped cream texture. Vanilla extract, just about half a tablespoon. You just put enough just to get that flavor in. Mix that in as well, and we're done with that. This is the buttermilk we made earlier. I'm going to put in some red food coloring. This is dye, and some people don't like it, and an alternative to using dye will be beet juice. The plant beet, the red fruit, or is it a legume? I don't know, but it's red. You can use that, but the reason why I use dye and most bakers use dye is that the color remains red even after baking. So if you use like an alternative, like a plant alternative, it might not be able to withstand the heat, so you might not get that red flavor using alternatives. You might not get that red coloring using other alternative than using the red dye. So I suggest use the red dye because you don't eat cakes all the time, so it wouldn't affect you that bad. So now I'm going to mix in my dry ingredients with my wet ingredients. So that's the butter I made. Those are the sifted flour and cocoa powder, and then I'm going in bit by bit. I add in the dry, and then I'll add in the flavored, or should I say the red flavored buttermilk, and I'm going to mix that in with a hand whisk. Reason being, if I use the electric mixer, that flour product is going to get everywhere, so I just use a hand whisk. Just go in bit by bit just to make sure everything is thoroughly mixed. As you can see, that's what I'm doing here. So make sure it's really smooth, and then repeat until you're done. So you can see the color here looks kind of like a tomato red, and I wasn't quite satisfied with it, so you'll see towards the end of the video, or towards the when I was done mixing everything, I did go in and add some more of that red dye, but the color didn't really change. And I think the magic happens in the oven. Something happens when the cake is heating up, and I think some chemical reaction makes the red color more vibrant. So you really don't have to do what I did. You don't need to add more flavoring, more color to it. You can just leave it as is. It will still turn out red. Just make sure you add enough for the quantity of cake you're making. So for this, I used, I think, more than half of that bottle of dye, just because I wanted that red texture, which I did not get when it was wet. I got it after. I got the red color after it baked, as you will see. So I'm going ahead and, you know, grease cupcake pan, put in the cupcake holder in there like so, and you don't have to grease it. I grease it in so that it sticks to the pan, and you can use an ice cream scoop to scoop the cake into the cupcake holder, but I didn't have that. I just went ahead and use a spoon to pour it in, and use another spoon to kind of direct the content into the cupcake holder. Just make sure you don't overcrowd, or make sure you don't fill up. Make sure you don't fill up the cupcake holder. You want to leave enough space at the top so that the cake can rise, kind of like it is doing right now. It's going to rise in the oven like that. So you always want to leave a little bit of space up top to give room for it when it rises. This is coconut shavings, sweetened coconut shavings, which I've toasted up. Going to use on top of the frosting. I didn't put the frosting recipe here because I already have a detailed frosting video, which I'm going to link in this video. Yeah, you can just go into my videos and look at my Nutella frosting, which is what I have here, and in the other cup behind that is the vanilla frosting. I'm going to link those videos here. Just click on them to see the details. So I'm just frosting up each cupcake. Made a total of 24 cupcakes. A lot of cupcakes. So keep that in mind. I'm still working on my, you know, piping application, which I think I'm getting there, but I still need some more work. I was really tired at this point because, you know, trying to hold the camera, making sure I was in frame and doing all that, but it's all in all, except some of the vanilla, it came out pretty good. And of course, you know, red velvet is a southern pastry in the American South, and they usually use pecans on top of the frosting. Pecans also grow in the American South, the southern regions of America. So traditionally the red velvet cake was eaten with pecans on top. So I tried to incorporate that in the video, as you can see. I also love coconuts, as you can tell, so I also toasted some coconuts in the beginning of the video, and I'm going to take the cakes and put the coconut shavings on top of the icing. I did this individually because when I did the pecans, when I tried to sprinkle the pecans on top of the cake, there was a lot of waste. So I took each cake and just dipped it into the coconut shaving. I think that gave me a better result. Okay, this is the end of the video, guys. Hopefully you guys recreate this recipe, and thank you for staying with me, and happy holidays. Thank you. Bye bye.